All right, let's talk about the EA press conference. Everyone else on the internet is doing it, so why the heck not have me do the same? Just as a little bit of background, if you don't know, I'm a big sports fan, so you'd think that EA's press conferences would probably mean the most to me. Games like Madden, like NHL, even like NBA Live, kind of in a different universe. FIFA, not so much. But these guys, this publisher has the rights to some very important sports leagues. So I'm one of the few people that when EA actually talks about sports games in the conference, I'm actually listening. I'm actually paying attention. I'm actually watching the trailers and trying to take interest in what's going on. But let's back up. That's not where they started. Let's go ahead and start first with Battlefield 5. Battlefield 5 looks fine. It was interesting that they started with the multiplayer aspect first. Multiplayer, of course, not my thing. Certainly looks well and good enough. They talked a little bit more about single player stuff. They talked about a continually expanding world of World War II, which I think is great. You're not going to have to deal with a premium pass or any kind of loot boxes, which is good. Obviously, DICE has learned its lesson after the Star Wars Battlefront 2 debacle, and that's great. I don't necessarily know where I'm going to go that route. I think I might, if only because of the fact that Black Ops 4 is not doing any kind of story mode, and I only play these games solo, so I may give Battlefield 5 a shot this year. I was okay with the presentation. It felt a little stuttery, but that's fine. Presentations being what they are, it got the points across that it needed to get across. I was fine with it. The next segment was FIFA 19. Now, again, for the record, soccer is not my main thing. It is probably the one EA franchise I do not care about. They tried to make it interesting. They tried talking about the Champions Cup. I don't even know what that is. They did talk about the World Cup a little bit, how they've implemented that in the FIFA 18 and how it may be a part of FIFA 19, and that's great. World Cup, everybody knows. Even soccer neophyte like me knows how important the World Cup is, so that's all well and good. One of my favorite FIFA games is actually World Cup 98 for the original PlayStation, and that's built almost exclusively around the World Cup license. So that's fine. It wasn't exciting. It really didn't reach out and grab me. It was not enough to make me go, oh, I should really take a look at FIFA 19. Maybe my thinking has been wrong. In fact, I just kind of let it roll off my shoulders, and that was the extent of it. There was some discussion about the next single-player Star Wars game. I forget the name of it off the top of my head because I was only half listening. Talking to one of the heads of Respawn Entertainment. So they came out with a name. They talk about the fact that it's not going to be out until not this year, but holiday season next year in 2019, which is fine. There was nothing to show. There was no concept art to show. It was just, here's the idea, here's the concept. We're hoping to have this ready and have a good day. And that led us into Star Wars Battlefront 2, where some people gave the presenter a little bit of a hard time. He looked kind of like a slim version of Paul Bunyan with his red and black plaid shirt. Again, fashion choices are not what I'm reacting to here. He did seem a little bit nervous. People were knocking his presentation style. I was okay with it. If you've ever been in a position where you have to deliver any kind of presentation or speech in front of thousands of people, it can definitely be a harrowing experience. I thought he was fine. I thought he hit all the points he had to hit. Certainly mentioning the fact that Battlefront 2 did not start the way they wanted, that they had to make some changes, which they did. They focused more on cosmetics. They made the changes they needed to make in order to try and get the game off the ground. And now that it's off the ground, they've been talking about additions to the game. They're going to be doing a lot more expanded content revolving around the Clone Wars. General Grievous is going to be part of this. Count Dooku is going to be part of this. Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to be a part of this. I may try it. I bit on Battlefield 2 digitally some time ago. It was on sale. I had a 20% off coupon, so I went ahead and bid on it. So I may try it a little bit later on. Again, I don't have a problem with this particular part of the presentation. It was fine. Then we had a couple of indie games that were talked about, which were fine as well. They revealed and even dropped the fact that the that Unravel 2 is actually available right now, which I thought was great. I remember the initial Unravel reveal, I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago, where I really thought that the presenter did a great job. He was very genuine. You wanted to be this guy's friend. You wanted to feel something for this guy and talk and hear him talking about his game or the game that his team worked on. And for me, that's effective. That got me interested, even though the Unravel games, I never played the first, and I'm probably not going to play the second because it has co-op, whether it's 1 or 2 player co-op. The second player obviously playing alone is controlled by the CPU. It's not really my thing. The game looks great. I like the music. It's just not really for me, but I did like the presentation, and the fact that they dropped the fact that it's available today was a nice touch by EA. They also introduced a new game from a German studio in Berlin. The name of the game is Sea of Solitude, or SOS. That looks pretty neat, too. Again, with the presenter, it looks like it's her first time on stage presenting in front of a ton of people. She was understandably nervous, but she got over that, and she delivered a heck of a presentation, hitting on the emotional background of the game, about loneliness really being the trigger for how the game was developed and how the idea of the game came about, and how, as an artist, it can be really easy to transmit that emotion from your mind to paper or to video game form. I thought that was pretty interesting. I believe that SOS comes out early next year. Then we got to the sports stuff, and we did not see any NHL this time. They don't even have a spot for NHL 19 at the EA Play floor or at the show. What they did show is they did a segment for Madden 19 where they brought Juju Smith-Schuster from the Steelers, heck of a receiver, and they brought the winner of last year's Madden Bowl, and they're talking up this kid's story about how he didn't go to his high school graduation, and it was all about the money and all of this hoopla. And I can tell you right now, when I'm playing a sports game, the last thing that I care about, actually, it's not even on the list of things that I care about, is esports. I don't give a damn. I want to know about the game's features. I want to know about what's been changed in the presentation. I want to know what's been changed on the field. I want to know about what's been changed nuts and bolts wise. I do not care about esports. I do not care about Ultimate Team. I want to know why this game deserves to be bought for another year in a row. I did not get that from this presentation. In fact, other than this really, really awkward exchange between Smith-Schuster and the Madden Bowl winner, there was no other information about Madden 19 to be had. So that's kind of a loss right there. That was a bit bothersome. They showed a fairly lengthy video for NBA Live 19. Yes, they're still going with NBA Live. Good for them. It seems to have a little bit of an NBA Street vibe, but at the same time, it doesn't. We didn't hear a lot. There's a lot to be left to interpretation when watching the trailer. I was okay with it. But again, it really doesn't do a lot for me, and EA's problem with NBA Live is that NBA 2K is just so far ahead in terms of user base, in terms of interest, in terms of feature sets, that there's a lot of work to be done. So we'll see how that develops moving forward. Then, I hate to complain about this because people will be quick to point out that mobile games are where a lot of the revenue is at, and RTS mobile games are great, and that's fine. But when you're taking a large segment of your show and you're devoting it to shoutcasting, like a live shoutcast with 2 commentators going out of their minds over 2 guys just tapping their buttons on a mobile phone, I cannot be interested in that. I just cannot be interested in something like that. And yet, that's what EA did with their Command and Conquer mobile game. Good for them. They were losing me there. Hearing these announcers go out of their minds, this is another reason I don't watch esports at all. If I want to watch a game being played, either the personality has to be really good, or it has to be something that's pre-recorded and not live, where it's spliced together and the game footage makes sense. I don't want to hear 2 commentators going ballistic over 2 guys tapping on their phone and trying to figure out who fires what missile first. I do not care. I will not care about that. Granted, there may be a segment of the population who does care about that, but I think there are better ways to present that than having 2 shoutcasters and 2 esports influencers out there on stage, because it just felt like a waste of my time, and I almost shut it off at that point. I did, however, wait until the Anthem reveal where they were talking more about Anthem. They had 4 people lined up on stage, kind of just talking about the game, and at that point I tapped out. I was done, and I turned it off. I'm sorry, this presentation does little for me as a consumer, as someone who's a sports fan. I am not at all motivated, at least at this point, to be interested in any of the games any more than I usually will be. All I've heard about Madden 19 really has just been Ultimate Team stuff. I have heard some things they're going to do for franchise, but there's nothing that really reaches the solo player other than, of course, more MUT, Madden Ultimate Team, shoved down your throat. It doesn't look like Longshot is returning from last year. That was the main reason I bought Madden last year, is because the story mode I thought was interesting. Now it's going to be solo Madden Ultimate Team modes. Woo, I guess. They're going to do some things with franchise. I'll have to wait and see on that. I'm really not committed. NHL 19, there was nothing about it. The season's over, guys. The Capitals already won. Congrats to them, by the way. So you had anything just to say, the game's coming, like just a minute on stage just to devote to it. Nothing. And if you look at the floor plan for EA Play, like the Madden or the NHL 18 area that they have is really small. Do they even care? I don't know. I have no idea. The two big ones were Madden and FIFA, with NBA Live kind of locked back there. My overall impression of the conference, it's a D. If you're grading from an A to F scale, it's a D. The two indie reveals really saved the show in my opinion. Battlefield 5, there really wasn't a lot I thought that was revealed. The sports games did nothing for me in terms of the way that they were revealed. The EA continues to go back to the well of things in a presentation that press all the off buttons for me. Bringing an athlete on stage, check. They decided to do it again with Juju Smith-Schuster, trying to do an interview that felt kind of forced and at the same time half awkward. They had to bring influencers on stage. They had to bring people from YouTube on stage. They had to bring shoutcasters on stage. They're not letting the games speak for themselves, and that, to me, indicates the big problem with EA right now, which is that you have to try and force people to like the games because the games don't have enough of a reputation to speak for themselves and to sell themselves at market. And the fact that you're coming out of the E3 gates first with this level of presentation, I'm cringing to see what we have left. I really am, but we will have to see. So, EA, I'm sorry, you get a D. I did like the indie game presentations. Andrea Renee did a great job doing hosting duties this year. Didn't seem too over the top, but at the same time felt genuinely excited to be there. I think that's great for her. But other than that, nothing really did anything for me in terms of my spending dollars or what I'm really excited for. All this show did, if anything else, was push me away from certain games that I either didn't know about or knew about kind of, and now have less interest in. So that's my look at that conference. I will try and do more of these through the coming days. We do have some big ones like Microsoft is coming, and Nintendo and Sony, and I will try and do those in some format as we move forward. Thanks for checking this out. Feel free to leave your own impressions of the conferences below, and have a good E3 week. See ya.